All right. Hey there, Unrulies. Welcome back to another We the Unruly. And as always, I have a pretty phenomenal guest here today. This one happens to be my frienance, Olivia Rose. Are you wondering, Jen, what the fuck is a frienance? Let me tell you. It is the mashup of a friend and a fiance. And actually, Olivia, you do it better than I do. But it's like that platonic love, right? That platonic, like if we were not partnered, like we could see being together in a very platonic way. But
Yeah,
you
and
have a better
I
way of
don't,
describing it.
I don't do it better than you do. We do it better together, girl.
Oh, ooh, ooh. We do it better together.
We do
I
it
love
better
it.
together. Yeah, like
Good.
life partners if we already weren't life partnered, and you get to have many different relationships and many partnerships. And
Yeah,
so we are in that we're in the trial period of potential life partnership as friends.
as friends.
Like a fiance
Yeah,
is a trial partnership of do we want to get married? So we're just figuring out, are we BFFs for life?
yeah,
Probably, but
probably.
we need a minute to make
But
sure.
there's some room for error there. There's some margin for error. We could have gotten it wrong. So with that, let's bring unrulies in. And well, quick, we
Oh
have
yeah.
matching earrings and
And
we bought our robes together. And Olivia, I wore this for you today.
oh, is it? Yes, it's a boob shirt. Boob shirt.
Here's what's funny though. The boobs come way up high and my boobs are
You've
not
got
way up
double
high.
boobs.
I could not wear this out in public. Like anyway, and maybe nor should I. We are not here to talk about boobs or finances or what have you, but Olivia, before we go any further, I would love to have you introduce yourself in your own words.
Oh, in
Ooh,
my
I
own
know.
words, I can't even steal someone
Nope.
else's.
Nope.
Okay. I'm a little unruly because everybody that comes here is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm a human doing human things like everyone listening out there. I have a lot of thoughts and I try to say them all too fast sometimes. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a human in progress, just like everyone else out there. So, what do I do professionally? I am a certified integral coach, and I work with entrepreneurs, leaders, job transitioners, people who are looking to get more alignment with their authentic self, to live, love, and lead more peacefully, peaceably, compassionately, self compassion, compassion for others. And then a little bit more about me. I live in a little house in Colorado in the Denver metro area. I have a partner of over 12 years and a 15-year-old phenomenal kid who is gender neutral. So you'll hear me often say my kid instead of ascribing a gender to them. I'm a feminist. I don't say that often when I introduce myself, but I feel called to today. So I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
And I have proof that I'm a feminist.
Ooh, do tell. Do tell.
My undergrad degree is in women's studies, and
Oh,
I learned the hard way out of college that basically feminist in bright red letters on the top of your resume might not get you a job right away,
hmm.
but it was really aligned with my authentic person, and it still is. And so I'm calling that into the room today. I am an unapologetic feminist.
I love that because it's an F word, feminist, right?
Yeah.
I'm like squirrel, squirrel. No, feminist. What I love about that though, and something so unusual or something I've not met before in a person is your love of punk rock through that feminist lens. And I would love to talk about that a little bit. I wasn't planning on going there, but it feels like it needs to be talked about today.
I'm so excited. I didn't know you were going to go there either. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So tell me more, like why punk rock? Like tell us about what got you into it, why it is so damn important to you, and your upcoming project around it.
Juicy stuff. It's funny. I was actually just texting with one of my favorite punk rock bands. And just before we came on, I was coordinating to have lunch with one of the members of one or two of the members of that band tomorrow. Shout out, because I want everyone to know who they are. They are a feminist punk rock band out of Colorado Springs called Cheap Perfume. No better name than that.
No.
I get to have lunch with them tomorrow and can talk more about that and why that gets to be in a minute. But if anybody follows me on Facebook or wants to, you'll see a little bit there about meeting your heroes, and it's a thing worth doing. But origin story. So I was in high school in the early to mid 90s. So just to be totally transparent, yes, I'm in my late 40s. And in the earliest part of high school, freshman, sophomore year, I was introduced to Bikini Kill through sort of the underground mixtape world, or the tape world. And yes, CDs were emerging at that time, but we weren't yet really burning CDs. At least we were not in Maine. And in case anybody is geographically challenged as I am, let me give you a little context. Maine is at the very far east of the US, and it is the only state that touches only one other state. Every other state, Alaska doesn't touch any states. Hawaii doesn't touch any states. But Maine is the only state that touches only one other state. So there's not like a natural flow. Like even rural places like Iowa, people drive through Iowa.
Yeah. You don't really drive through Maine to get to somewhere else. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So things don't always get, at least then, didn't get there at the same time. We didn't have
I grew up in small town farming country, Wisconsin. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, where are you going? Up to Canada? Like, you know? So, we didn't have the worldwide interwebs the way we have it now. Yes, it became more accessible then, but we didn't use it in the same way. So things were often a little slower to reach there. But I remember getting into high school, and a good friend of mine in middle school was a year ahead of me. She went to high school first. So I was like, I sort of had this like a little bit of lead on like cool stuff going into high school. And that we were like, passed around like Bikini Kill tapes, like it was taped. And I remember like the photographed insert like to go with it, and like and it got introduced to it. But I was also into a lot of things. I was pretty eclectic. I still am, honestly. But in high school, I also didn't really fit into any one particular social group. I was across many different social groups. I was actually just talking to my partner about this last night, because I found that I had this unique experience where I lived. A lot of people didn't necessarily move in, move out, or move houses. And I had a small school district, but we had 4 or 5 elementary schools that fed into 2 middle schools that fed into 1 high school. And I actually got moved between elementary schools as a kid because I lived on the border, and we got to choose at the time what school I went to. And I went to one, and then later they said, you actually have to go to the school in the town you live in. So they moved me over in the 4th grade. And then I became,
that's fun.
In middle school, then I knew everybody. Because I started at one school and moved, really small school, and then moved to a bigger school. So I kind of became a connector. I learned how to become a connector through that and use that opportunity. And then in high school, kind of did the same. And I did music, band, theater, was in that world, also played tennis, also like, took the advanced classes, but also like sucked at some of my classes, it just like, I was just a little bit all over and a little bit everywhere. And Bikini Kill.
Sounds like someone I kind of know today.
Totally. And so Bikini Kill came into my orbit, but I also liked, Les Miserables, and, rocking out to see Stephen Sondheim in my bedroom. If you can rock out to that.
I like, what?
And then anybody our age remembers when Green Day's Dookie hit the airwaves. And crazy enough, girl in Maine, my neighbor, one of my mom's best friends, she had a niece and nephew in Boulder, Colorado. That's where I moved to when I came out to Colorado. They would come to visit every couple summers. He brought the Dookie album with him, as well as some other quickly emerged in the punk scene as pop punk. And it was before the radio waves in Maine were playing them. So I was like, oh, I got like, this is new stuff. And then as that summer was ending, that music hit our airwaves. And I was like, I already know this music because of the friend that brought this. It had these weird little like intros into punk. And then I went to college and I lived with people who were much more into the jam band scene and that kind of music. So I didn't stay connected with punk going into college, actually. And long story made already too long, but I'm now going to fast forward to when I got together with my partner 12 years ago. He's like, I've always kind of been into punk music, but I've never really gone to concerts. And I was like, what? Like, I saw Fish at Madison Square Garden. Like,
oh, wow.
A bazillion Allman Brothers concerts. I would go to like sleepover hippie jam band festivals where you're camping. Like, have gone to a lot of concerts. And I was like, well, let's do it. And we went to a Riot Fest together here in Denver. It's not here anymore. It's only in Chicago now. And we had the best time. And since then, I found my way back to punk. And in all of that, pre-COVID, I don't know when it was, 2017, 2018. I can't remember when. But we went to see the Descendants in Colorado Springs. And Colorado Springs is almost a couple hours from here. So we decided to stay overnight. And yeah, the Descendants are kind of old men at that time, I guess. They're older punk guys, but they had Cheap Perfume open for them. This really young feminist rock punk band. And if I remember correctly, I'm going to double check this out tomorrow. I think it was just Jane and Steph in the band at that time. Now they have a couple of male members with them in the band. And I was just like, this is the band. It's like when I met you, Jen, and I was like, this is the best friend I've been waiting. Like, I have many great friends, but this was the best friend that was always out there, that we were supposed to like come together in this universe. That's what happened to me at Cheap Perfume. I was like, I was meant to see this band, and I followed them, and I started working on a project. And my collaborator, Matt, said, you would be surprised how responsive artists are to talking to people and sharing their art. He's like, just if you want to talk to them, just send them an email and at their like whatever their band listed email is for bookings or whatever, and see what happens. And sure enough, they were like, we'd love to talk to you, random lady. I did gush a little, like, I did
of course
and like a kind of thing, you're like kind of amazing. And they said yes. And the craziest thing happened. Crazier than they said yes.
Okay.
I went to a show between when they said yes and when we were going to meet over Zoom and have a conversation, because I wanted to talk pre-project. And I'm being so vague about the project.
You are.
I'm really creating suspense in the room. And they were opening for another band that has since become one of my favorite bands, another one of my favorite bands, Team Non-Existent. And they are a band that identify as queer. And they've got this huge younger generation following, and they're really fun and great. Check out Team Non-Existent. Their album Teeth is great. So Cheap Perfume was opening for the Teeth release party. But everybody was there for Cheap Perfume, so people weren't really there yet. And I was just like, I am just going to go stand up front. I'm just going to sit right up front. And I left my partner in the back because he's very tall and he likes to stay in the back. And I was like, I'm just going to like be obsessed. And at the end of the set, Steph came to me with the playlist, the set list. It is like, I had their sweatshirt wrapped around my waist. And I'm like, so you got our sweatshirt, and like, you clearly know all our music, and here's the set list. And I was just like, feel you're like, you can talk right now. And if I can't talk, that's a really big deal.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later we met, and I got to be like, thanks for the set list. And she was like, I knew you.
Well, that's amazing. What I love about that, though, and it's like the thread of the show, right, is you made a big, bold ask. You were just a random woman sending them an email, making the ask, and they said yes.
Yeah.
And I just think about all the times I know I've done it where I've wanted to ask something and I got in my own way. I got in my own head of like, oh, they're never going to, blah, blah, blah. And I know if I've experienced it and I've heard it from clients and other unrulies and what have you, Like, this is what we do to ourselves, is we often stop ourselves, right? From doing the thing that we really, really want to do, that we know is going to move the needle, for all sorts of reasons. And that is why partly you and I do the work that we do, is to help, people do those big, bold things.
Yeah. And it's the little things. Like, it
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
like, I just asked somebody if they would have a conversation with me. It felt big in my like
Oh, of
soul and
course.
heart, right? But like, I just really, all I did was say, "Hey, you want to have a conversation?" Because more often
Yeah.
than not, a conversation isn't going to kill us.
You're not going to get dire or get pregnant. You're not going to die or get pregnant. That's what I wanted to say.
Chances are really good that from one conversation, you're not going to die or get pregnant. What
That's what I
happens
like to.
after we can't account
Yeah.
for? Yeah. So
Yeah.
then I did that ask, and then I checked my email obsessively for days and didn't hear back.
Oh, yeah.
And then you tell the story of like, they think I'm a rando, they think I'm a creep, and then they were like, "Hey, we just saw this, we missed
Yeah.
it, we'd love to
Yeah.
talk." And then you get the relief that your inner critic was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's evidence, right? That, oh, I can put myself out there and I'm not going to die or get pregnant. But also, sometimes the answer is going to be yes. The answer is going to be what I was hoping for it to be. What I love what you said, though, is it was such a little thing, right? Just to send this quick little email. And I don't know about you, but I'm much better at it now. But those little things can even get in your, that inner shitty bitty committee and be like, oh, you can't do that. You don't want to disturb, you don't want to bother them. And it's like, it was such a small fucking thing,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you did it and got proof that, oh, that actually worked. I can go do that again. So my question for you, Olivia, is have you always been slightly rebellious? Is this something that you have grown into? Did you, come out of the womb like
Kicking and screaming,
and like, power to the people?
yeah.
And
It's
has that always come naturally to you?
Yeah, it's been a hot streak in me. And it's something that I have, like all of our innateness, and it's both nature and nurture, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with all of our innateness, there are real benefits to that and parts of it that we love and appreciate about ourselves. And there are the demons that we battle with that too. So it's always been a fundamental part of who I am. I've just always been that. And really the struggle for me was being in such a small town and such a rural place. It's hard to be a big, bold person in a intimate place where before you are born, everyone has a story ascribed to you because they know your origin story that you might not even know. They know your parents and your grandparents and your aunts and your uncles, and who are the upstanding family members and who are the naughty family members. And then in small places, and I know this happens for lots of people in lots of contexts, so I can really only speak for mine. I felt this burden of sometimes my natural way of being can bring a little bit of embarrassment or shame upon my family or my loved ones. And not that they were trying to shame me, but being a big, loud personality, things get back to your family or people, communities, social networks. There is conformity at work, not because people are bad and they don't want people to be their uniqueness, but nonconformity socially can upend a group. And so there are these forces at play that no one means to say you suck, but someone says to a family member or a friend, wow, she really made an ass of herself when she did X, Y, or Z. And then those folks are coming back to you going, get in line because I'm affiliated with you and I'd like to not be seen that way. Not how anyone says it or what they intend. They think they're helping you, but I've always had that. And interestingly, when I first went into business, I worked with a coach who had me do a lot of Instagram videos. They're all still up there. But one of the first ones I did was actually like, say no thank you to feedback. Like, I'm not taking your feedback. Thank you very much. And actually, that day, the day I posted, my kid came home from school and goes, I know you're not taking feedback, but I didn't even know you followed me on Instagram, kid. Great.
Yeah.
But what I meant from that is not like, fuck your feedback.
Yeah.
Real. What I mean is the feedback that comes to you is not for you to take in the raw form.
Mm-hmm.
It's for you to choose. You get to choose what you do with it. Maybe that feedback is not for me. That's for them. Like it comes with their packaging or their whatever's going on for them.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's they gave this message, but really I need to hear this message another way. Or maybe it's, ooh, that hits the ouch point in me. That's always the ouch point for me. And so it gets bigger in my mind than it should be. I actually talked to you about a situation like that recently.
Yeah. Yeah. Watch what you make it mean.
Watch what you make it mean, where it was like, I accidentally said, it wasn't fully in my mind, and I accidentally said something that cut someone off and then made them feel like the story they were telling wasn't valid. And I was just excited to talk about a thing that popped into my head. And right, so this, have I always been this like loud, speak up, whatever? Yeah. And so when that person said that, I got extra connected to that. Just simmer down a little bit.
Right.
Just tone
Bring
it
it
down,
down
like,
a notch.
but just a little bit. Just be a little bit different, and then you'll be okay. And so I heard that, not what she was trying to say.
No.
And of course, mea culpa, like, really, my friend, I did not mean to hurt you. And that's useful feedback for me to remember that as a coach, that's a place where I have to continue to refine myself. And I will have to do it unless I am struck
Absolutely.
mute, which would probably be the worst curse ever. Unless I am struck mute, I will have to work with this and have this be a part of me for the rest of my life, that I'm constantly refining, but not to necessarily make other people comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
but to be able to live in alignment and in service for other humans.
Yeah, and it's the I love what you said there. It's not to take up less space. It's to make sure that you are being the human being that you want to be and showing up as the human being you want to be, right?
Yeah,
And
'cause I want to share the space.
those are two very different things, right? And I think it's knowing for each of us, like, where is that line and where am I crossing into, oh, I'm going to tone it down because it's too much for them versus, yeah, that might have been a bit, they maybe weren't ready for that, or, whatever the case may be. And it's learning how to walk that tightrope, if you will. But never from that place of like, I'm making myself good, bad, right, or wrong because of
Right.
this. Yeah.
And I want her to have her
Yeah.
space. I don't want her to hold back because she thinks I might step on her or jump on her. And
Yeah.
you're right. It seems like such a non-difference difference, but internally it's so much of the difference. So my
Yeah.
own, which we won't get into the whole long story of it here, but my own burnout story came from the conformity, the trying to overly contort myself. I can't stop that I'm loud and vivacious and I have this energy that enters a room before I do. Like, that's going to be there. But trying to be the kind of leader that made other people comfortable, or that like didn't make them like dislike me and then leave the job, and turnover is because of the bad boss, which is true, but also not always the only factor. And all of those things. And then like, well, too much eggshell walking, too much trying to be this right kind of manager, this right kind of leader, be overly responsive. And especially in the time of COVID, I ran governmental education program, and there's no winning in the time of program is an early childhood program. So if you think of Zoom for elementary, middle, high schoolers is bad enough for teaching and learning, you do it with 3 and 5 year olds, and it's a very futile exercise, right? And so it was like, didn't work for parents, it didn't work for kids, it didn't work for teachers. And yet we had governmental money that came with stipulations of you got to be doing something, can't be doing nothing. And then we come out of that, and like, you've got to emerge back into a classroom as early as possible for this population. And then the tension of what kids and families need makes teachers and administrators feel unsafe. And in this world of all of this death and just heartbreak, right? And so I was already faking it till I made it for too long. And that conformity piece from I have to be the right leader so everybody else can be right, really was problematic and
Mhm.
created this big time burnout mental health crisis for me. And uh, and that's why I'm so passionate about how what you describe
Mhm.
as watch the meaning you're making.
Mhm.
You say it more eloquently than I say it, but this idea of what comes to you does not all have to be digested in the form that it's given to you. And we don't eat raw chicken for a reason. We
No.
cook it, we transform it, we change it. Taking it and adapting it to what aligns and what doesn't, or chicken's not for me, right? I'm
Yeah.
not chicken tonight. I'm having tofu or whatever. And it's the way it comes in that matters. Or do I let it in at all? Is this something I have to spit
Yeah.
back out or let out or not let in the first place?
Yeah, I love that. It makes me think of early on in my entrepreneurial, a dear friend gave me two pieces of feedback. I don't even remember what they were, like truly, but I remember how I felt, right?
Mhm.
And it wasn't solicited for. I didn't ask for it, so there was no consent, but I didn't have words for that at the time, right? Um, but then B, I carried that with me for the better part of 6 months to a year, and I had it running in my head. And I don't even know who I shared it with after those 6 months or what have you. And they're like, "Well, Jen, is that person like, is she your ideal client?" I'm like, "Well, no, like not at all." "Then why are you listening to that feedback?" It was like, "Whoa, okay, yeah. Why am I giving so much of myself away to something that isn't actually mine to do anything with?" But it's having that discernment, right? Which is hard. That's like I think of discernment as almost this muscle that we practice building, right? And for me, that was like a moment in time where it helped instill in me, oh, I don't have to listen to every feedback that I get.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Like my daughter Sawyer gives me feedback on my clothes all the time, and sometimes I listen to her, right? And sometimes like I'm like, "No, I'm good." But going back to Instagram, she asked me, it was a few years ago. She's like, "Do you think you would consider like opening a second Instagram profile that's like maybe more your personal so that like that she and her brothers can go follow that account?" And I'm like, "No. This is me. We got boobs,
We
we
got
got
boom.
smut, we 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 have swears, like, there's a lot of soul and depth in there, and I don't need you to follow me, kiddo. Like, I didn't
Maybe
make you to
I'm
go
not your
follow me.
audience.
Maybe I'm not your audience." Like, I don't need the vanity metric to say, "Yeah." But no, my kids are very proud of me, but, she was in that kind of awkward teenage phase and, didn't love that her mom was talking about,
Yeah.
female bodies and anatomy, and like it's like, okay, that's okay, but you have autonomy yourself, my dear, to turn
Mhm.
that off, to not consume something that's not for you. So
Yeah.
I turned it into a teachable moment.
You did. Go, mama. This is such a great point of other people's discomfort is not necessarily ours to manage.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
watching how it makes us uncomfortable and deciding what to do with it.
Yes.
So around the story I was talking about a moment ago about stepping on someone, it's like, okay, I'm going to use that to slow down a little bit, drink a little less caffeine because I speak
Mm,
before I think with more caffeine. And so a little less caffeine, slow down. Not everything I think is a great idea needs to be said in the moment, right? Give a little
mhm.
more wait time. Like, was that person, she took a pause, she took a breath. It doesn't mean her story was over. Like, it just, I'm going to be more mindful to
Yeah.
not, not to make, not to shrink so other people have more space, but to share the space equally, not accidentally take space that's not mine because my
Mm,
intent didn't match the impact I had.
yes.
And that's such a key place for us is when we get feedback, intent and impact both
Mhm.
matter. Oftentimes we try to let ourselves off the hook because we know we had a good intent, even if the impact was poor. Well,
Yeah.
I got feedback on the impact. And so I had to look at, if my intent is to share the space, then I've got to work on my impact.
Yeah. That's making me think of a guy I work with. I love him to pieces. He's a very slow, intentional, thoughtful speaker. And you know me. I'm like a mile a minute and da 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 and da da da, right? I've had to work on like when he pauses, give a moment before hopping in with my thoughts.
Yes.
It's hard. It's hard. But you're right. I want to be the person who does not trounce on other people and recognizes that not everyone like has to talk as fast and as I do. And that's okay. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's my work of saying here's how I want to show up when I'm in meetings, with this person.
You know what I
Yeah.
just thought of?
What?
I love a good metaphor, as you know.
Yes.
I just thought of that my instant pot is
Mm.
also a slow cooker.
Oh yeah.
And it gets to be it gets to be a lot of things because it's saute function. Anyway,
Rice cooker.
rice cooker. But I bought it because it's an instant pot, because it's a pressure cooker. I can make a stew or a sauce in like a quarter of the time. But I
Yeah.
also use the slow cooker function sometimes, or I set the rice up in the morning to deal with it later because it's going to be held in the right conditions all day. I don't have to worry about it. And I get to toggle between those settings for myself as much as I
Mm.
get to use them on my Instant Pot.
I love it. That's a great metaphor. With that, we're going to get into problematic platitudes. And
Okay.
you shared one with me. Uh, it'll all work out in the end. If it's not working out, it's not the end. Let's talk about why that's problematic, especially when people don't give any context around that. They just kind of drop that nugget as if it's like, "Oh my god, that's the best advice and wisdom ever."
Right.
Yeah. Why do you find it problematic?
Oh,
'Cause I do too.
yeah. I'm like, I want to go off with like 10 things at once, and
Okay.
we're going to slow my brain down.
Yeah.
So, the first thing is like, it's not a zero sum game, guys. Like,
Mm.
the life is not a zero sum game. Like, it's not winning or losing. It's all working out or it's not working out. And I don't mean exercise, I mean things going well. Like, both and. Everything in this world is both and. Everything
Mhm.
is not just dichotomies, but is multitudes. And I really struggle with we all have moments of black and white thinking, but I
Yep.
really struggle with the perpetuation of black and white thinking in our culture, black or white thinking. And
Yeah,
all
binary
yeah,
thinking.
binary, exactly. All of life is in the gray. All of life is in the gray. And most of life is in the gray. I often say there's no such thing as never, forever, and always. It's a commitment I made to myself, actually, as I was going through my divorce process, coming to
Mm.
terms with the fact that there's no such thing as never, forever, and always.
Mm.
It doesn't mean we can't intend for something to last for a really long time, but those are kind of lies we tell ourselves. So if things aren't going exactly the way I want, then they're not working out, is such a problematic short-term way of thinking. Something
Mm.
feels bad, therefore it is bad, therefore
Mhm.
then
Yeah,
nothing.
pivot. Yep. Didn't work out.
Yep. Or
Yeah.
I'm a piece of shit, or all these other things that get wrapped up if like, you know the the people that they have a bad breakfast burrito and their
Mm.
whole goddamn day is destroyed.
Yeah.
This falls into that camp for me, that if something isn't 100% perfect or 90% perfect, then it's not working out. It's not right. And therefore,
Yeah.
we are now excused.
And where I go to with it is when I hear it, I think of people that stay in something far too long,
Mm.
right? Far too long. Um, I'm sure I know I have examples from my past. I don't have one coming up, but far too long, right? And hearing something like, well, if it'll work out in the end, and if it's not, it's like, But also it's at that and like maybe it isn't the right thing for you, right? So it's that both of those on the spectrum could be true, right? It's like maybe you haven't given it enough time, or the circumstances are just starting to play out to support what you want, or you have spent enough time that you're building that momentum that you need. But it also could be, I'm thinking like of a marriage, or, a project. It's I'm all about give yourself the permission to go where your desires are leading you, right? And when I say desires, I don't mean the flim flam, like, I want to jet off to India at a moment's notice. That would be nice. That's not what I'm saying, right? But if it no longer like sparks the thing in you, don't just keep sticking with it. Use it as an opportunity to like pause and get curious of like, so again, that tightrope, right? It's like, is this because I'm afraid or I'm coming from fear? Or is this because I've evolved and this is no longer for me?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I hear in this, what's the higher purpose?
Mm.
And that's where your agency lies. Is
Yeah.
what I'm hearing in here. And I don't mean higher purpose like a higher spiritual being, which
Yeah.
welcome to consult as you will. That
Yeah.
is fitting for you, the all of you, not just the Gen U.
Yep.
But I mean, what is your higher purpose? Because that's where your agency
Mm.
lies. And the black or white thinking, it'll all work out in the end, right? If it's not working out
Mm-hmm.
in the end, is like, well, life is the messy middle. That's where the things happen, right?
Yeah.
And as you were talking about that, the hanging on too long, I think I literally winced. Go back and watch it. I think I was like, oh, because that's my burnout story. My boss at one point said to me, "You've been saying for a number of years now, you're probably done in a year or two."
Mm.
She wasn't going to kick me out of there, which was great. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. But it was hanging on too long. And the other end of that is burnout because I'm hanging on too long. It wasn't
Yeah.
making the transition. Now, it doesn't mean that life didn't work out for me. Life's working out for me,
Yeah.
but it's because it could have worked out differently. It doesn't mean one was better or
Yeah.
good. It's just like that was the path. But I also I see it, and it's such a great point. It's such a common theme in coaching, but I've seen it in nonprofit boards I've been on. I've seen it in organizations, rampant marriages,
Mm-hmm.
that we have this societal notion of forever,
Mm-hmm.
always is the gold standard.
Don't be a quitter.
Don't be a quitter.
Yeah.
And the thing is that there is so much power in quitting. My partner has said on a few occasions, no, not that he would quit me. Never.
Never.
But that he wished he had been able to entertain the idea in grad school that walking away was okay.
Ooh.
But the ingrainment of you started a thing, you need to
You
finish.
gotta see it through.
Like, did it all work out? Sure. He's teaching in his chosen field at a college that he loves, and he doesn't have to do research, and that's great. But research nearly killed him from a mental health standpoint, because it's like the completionist mentality, right?
Yeah.
That 50 years of marriage is the gold standard versus like you freed yourself from and another person from something that's not working anymore, and that's inhibiting your ability to live more fully. I'm not telling anyone out there to go and get divorces, but I see this over and over.
Yeah, it's the self-inquiry, I think, is where you're getting at, is like, do that self-inquiry, right? Get curious with, is this really what I want? Is it moving me towards more of what I want in life? Or is it kind of stopping me from moving forward with what I really want in life? And again, it's nuanced and complex, and there's all sorts of things. Like we're not saying that none of that exists, but it is that self-inquiry, right? And making those intentional decisions and choices to either, to do the thing or not, or any of that. Okay, so with that, we are wrapping up.
Wait, I gotta say one more thing about this class.
Okay.
I have to.
Yes.
The other thing I hate about this, because that was just a starting point. Again, I could tell you probably 8 more things, but the other thing I just like about this is it all works out at the end. If it hasn't worked out, it's not the end. I am sorry, but things end abruptly and not in your control all the gosh darn time. And we've all met amazing humans whose lives have ended abruptly and unfinished. And I think it doesn't honor the fact that we are not as in control of everything in the world as we pretend we are. We do have agency. We do. But this platitude prevents us from finding the right agency, which is, what are my choices today towards my unknown future, whatever that might be? And this whole, it's not working out, it's not the end. I'm sorry, we don't live in a Disney movie. We just don't.
No. That was an important piece to add. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, last question. What do you get to have the rest of your life, Olivia, my dear frienance? What do you get to have the rest of your life because you did something bold, rebellious, unruly, really had your own back?
I get to have the scars that remind me that healing is always possible.
Ooh.
And as one example of that, I will not show you my breasts, but I will show you my port scar.
Yeah.
And I am a cancer survivor, and my port actually was required me to go into emergency surgery. We're not going to tell the whole story here, but it was quite traumatic and involved heart surgery. It was all very scary. And I had a really difficult relationship with this scar for a long time. And in the last year, I had some myofascial release work done on it from a really trusted provider that is amazing. If you're looking for a chiro and a myofascial release person in the Denver area, hit me up. He's amazing. I'll give you his info. But I got to heal the relationship with this scar from the trauma of cancer and then that removal experience. And it's not all just magically gone and healed, but I can come back and keep doing that work. And that doesn't make me broken. It just gives me agency.
I love that. We are going to have all of your information and the bands that you shared in the notes.
I left a cliffhanger.
Oh, okay.
Project. So I'll do that. For those of you that stuck with it and is like, what is this gosh darn project? I am releasing a podcast. I'm aiming for the end of February, could be March. I'm releasing a podcast called Rogue Frequencies with my collaborator, Matt, where we look at DIY life. We look at agency. We look at growing and learning and living the life you want to live through the genre of punk music, culture, bands, figures, lyrics, the whole 9 yards. Every episode comes with a playlist that is tailored to that topic. And we do have a week on feminist punk in there. So that is dropping hopefully in the next 6 weeks. And I'm super excited. Cheap Perfume wrote our theme song, and Moonlight Speed Graphics made the graphics for it, and they've made graphics for many top-notch punk band posters and tours. So super excited to have people in the punk scene supporting us and along with us for the ride.
Very cool. What is one for the person listening in? What is the one nugget you want to leave them with?
Related to the podcast or
any of it, any of our conversation, anything that you're about?
Don't let anyone, including yourself, stop you from DIYing your life, because only you can do it.
I love that. Mic drop. All right. It has been wonderful. Thank you so much to those who watched live. To those listening to the replay. And I'm just really, really thrilled and grateful that you came on.
And thank you for everyone that listened in, and another amazing conversation with you, my dear friend.